Hello, and welcome back to Teacher Gimbal channel. If you like these videos, please make sure to like and subscribe so that you can get more of the same type of content. Today we're going to be going over Illustrative Math, Algebra 1, Unit 1, Lesson 6. We're going to be going over the practice problems in detail. Let's get started. Problem number 1 asks us, what formula could be used to compute the value shown in cell B3? So let's identify what we're looking at. Here's our column B. We're looking for what is the value that got us to 350. Now, before even getting started on this question, I want to make sure to look at my answer choices because the answer choices are going to kind of guide me to where I need to be. So let's go ahead and use our answer choices as a process of elimination. Answer choice A says B3 times B4. So B3 is 350 times B4, which is B4, 0, gets me 0. However, we're computing the value in B3, so I'm not sure we can use B3 as part of our answer. So we're going to put a little check here, but also see if we have a better answer. B says A2, so we have A, we go down to 2, plus A5, which is 50. That gets me 57. That's not 0. So that can't be our answer. Let's go ahead and move forward to the next two options. For C, we have A2. A2 is 7 times A5. So A2 is 7 times A5, which is 50. That's going to get us 350, which again is not the correct answer. Let's see what our last choice is. D says sum A2 colon A6. When you see this value, it just means it is the sum of all the values from A2 down to A6. Quickly looking at this, I see we have a 7, 0, 13, 50, and a negative 1. If I add up all of these values, I know that it's going to be a positive number because negative 1 is not going to make that much of a difference. So the answer is not going to be 0, which leaves us as our final answer being A. So we were allowed to use B3 as part of the calculations. That's the only option that we could choose. Let's go ahead to problem number 2. What would happen in cell B? What number will appear in cell B2 when the user presses enter? So we want to know what's happening in this cell right here. Well, this says it is equal to the sum of A3 to A5, which means it's going to be the sum of A3, A4, and A5. It's all of the values. So A3 is 5, plus A4 is 0, plus A5 is negative 7. 5 plus 0 is 5, plus negative 7 gets me negative 2. So this would be negative 2 would be my answer. All right, I love these questions. They're so useful if you ever need to use Excel or Google Sheets or to calculate any type of statistics. Select all the formulas that could be used to calculate the value in cell B4. So there might be more than one correct answer here. Let's see if I can make this all fit on one screen. Nope, it's not working right now. Let's keep going. Oh, there we go. All of us on one screen. Perfect. The product of A2 colon A6. So that is my answer choice number A. Product means we're going to multiply all the values from A2 to A6. So 7 times 0 times 13 times 50 times negative 1. Now let's do a real quick check at the question. We want to know which formulas could be used to calculate the value in cell B4. And over here, we know B4 is equal to 0. If we take the product of all of these guys, well, 7 times 0 is 0, 0 times 13 is 0, 0 times 50 is 0, 0 times negative 1, that's 0. So here's one of our answers. What about the sum of A2 to A6? So this is going to be the same thing, except instead of multiplying, we are adding. Now, just like before, I know because we only have one negative number over here and it doesn't actually cancel out anything, that this is going to be not 0. So I can cross that out of the answer. As mathematicians, we like to work smarter, not harder. C says A2 plus A3. A2 is 7, plus A3 is 0, which gets us 7. So that can't be a correct answer. D says A2, which again is 7, times A3, which is 0, which gives us 0, and that's our B4 value. So that's another correct answer. Here we have A3, which is 0, times A4, which is 13, times A5, which is 50, which gets us 0 times 13, which is 0, times 50, which is also 0. Ooh, we found another answer. And then here it's the same 3 values, but added. And I know 0 plus 13 is 13, plus 50 will get us 63, so that is not a correct answer. So there we go. The correct answers are A, D, and E. If you need to pause this video to make sure you understand this, feel free to pause, and I'm going to move on to the next question. Problem number 4. Let's zoom back in. The formula in cell B2 is product A colon A5, A2 colon A5. Describe the way to change the contents of column A so the value in cell B2 becomes negative 70. So the formula for cell B2 is product of A2, so that's going to be 10 times 5 times 4 times 7. We need to figure out how to change the content of some of these numbers so the value of B2 becomes negative 70. So let's think about a formula right now. Our formula is 10 times 5 times 0 times negative 7 is equal to 0. And we know that's true because we've got a 0 over there. Whenever you have 0 in multiplication, it makes 0 for everything. We now need to change the contents. Well, I see this 10 over here and this negative 7 over here. So I'm going to keep these guys. That's what I'm feeling. That's going to get me negative 70. So what can I do about these two numbers to fix it? Well, if I make this guy a 1, cross him out, make him a 1, and I make this guy also a 1, cross him out, make him a 1, I have now fixed my problems, and the content of cell B2 is negative 70. This is just one way to solve this problem. There's actually an infinite number of ways that you could solve this problem, but we're just going to go over one right now. But see if you can challenge yourself and think of a few more ways to solve this problem before moving on to the next one. Problem number 5 and number 6. We're going back to our dot plots. Now, if you have any questions about dot plots, I recommend you looking at some of the older lessons, and that will give you a hand in figuring out what's going on here if you're new to this content. The dot plot displays the number of books read by students during the semester. So we've got the number of books read, and we got 4 books being the smallest number of books that was read by a student, and 13 books being the largest number of books that was read by a student. Which measure of center would you use given the shape of the distribution in the dot plot? Explain your reasoning. Well, let me go ahead and see what's happening with my dot plot. I see that there's a little bit of a tail. So I'm going to say this is skewed. The tail is on the right side, so it's skewed to the right. Now, you should have learned from your lessons, when you have a skewed distribution, it tends to pull the mean to the right, because this 13 is going to change the data and it's going to pull it to the right. So because the mean is going to be skewed to the right, I would like to use the median as a measure of center, because I feel like the median is going to give me a better sense of where the center of the data is. Which measure of variability would you use? Well, the measures of variability we looked at was the mean average distance from MAD, the mean average distance, which gave you the average distance from the mean. So in this case, if I was looking at this question, I would like to look at the MAD to figure out the average distance that each value has away from the mean. In this way, we can see, is it really close to the mean, or a lot of the data points spread all the way out? Problem number 6. The dot plot displays the number of families living in different blocks of town. So we've got all our dots here. Right now, we have what it looks like is a symmetric distribution. So when it's asking us, what measure of center would you use for the shape of the distribution? I would either use the mean or the median. When we have a symmetric distribution, they're both accurate measures of center, and they actually should be pretty close to the same number. Which measure of variability would I use? Again, I would use the mean average distance to figure out the variability of the data by calculating the distance of each point away from the mean and figuring out the average of those distances. All right, if you have any questions, please put them in the comments below. And if you want to see more videos on this, please like and subscribe so I can keep making them. I can't wait to see you at the next lesson.